Florida State and Mike Norvell trying to get that explosive offense back after what they had in 2023 and definitely did not have in the 2024 season. Florida State having to do a lot in the transfer portal all across the board, but most certainly in the wide receiver room after Florida State has seen some attrition, a lot of veteran guys moving on. And this is where Florida State, after losing or moving on from Ron Dugans, have to make some big time moves here with Tim Harris Jr. coming from UCF. And this is where these relationships begin to build. And right here for Florida State, they have landed in the top 4 for an SEC blue chip wide receiver and Mario Craver. During his 9 games that he played in this season, he started for Mississippi State, 17 receptions, 368 yards, and 3 touchdowns. He had a career season high, I should say, for 2 catches, 75 yards against the Georgia Bulldogs. He played 379 offensive snaps as a true freshman. He was a 4-star prospect out of high school in 2024 class, ranked as the number 27 overall transfer and number 11th in the wide receiver room per 247 Sports. This guy is small. He is very small. Kind of reminds me a little bit of like a Ja'Kai Douglas and that explosiveness and just the size that he brings to the field. He's 5'11", 165 pounds. He's going to have 3 years of eligibility remaining. Like I had mentioned before, Florida State landing in this top 4, but there's a handful of other SEC teams here in the mix from including Alabama, Texas A&M, and LSU. Expected probably to see in a visit to Tallahassee very soon. As we know, the current room for Florida State and that wide receiver room, there is a lot of young talent, a lot of youngsters out there that we saw more of than we probably wouldn't have seen because of what Florida State had out there as a product going 2-10. We saw a lot more younger guys, but as we know, coming back in though, as of right now, Florida State still has junior Hakeem Williams, redshirt sophomore Jalen Brown, who transferred from LSU this past season over to FSU. Sophomores LaWayne McCoy and BJ Gibson, redshirt freshman Elijah Moore, and redshirt freshman Camden Fryer. But in the early signing period, they were bringing in a couple of guys here, including 4-star Javon Boggs, 4-star Tayshawn Gelsey, 3-star Tariq Mallory, and 3-star JUCO Jordan Scott. With Tim Harris Jr. coming in, this adds in a little bit of a little bit of juice here on the recruiting trail for Florida State. And whenever a new coaching staff comes in, it adds in a little bit of energy here. So we'll see if this helps in Florida State's case for this young wide receiver from Mississippi State. Florida State, though, doing a lot of work here in the transfer portal for this position group. They had some interest here in Barian Brown from Kentucky, who actually just ended up with LSU not too long ago, committing there to the Tigers, and Brian Kelly. Reggie Virgil, too, extended the offer there to him from Miami, Ohio. He ended up picking Texas Tech. These wide receivers getting off the board pretty quickly, and it makes sense because this is one of these rooms where whenever seasons are over or once the season wraps up, a lot of teams across the country looking at what they need, and they're willing to put down some money in NIL for some of these targets that are in the wide receiver room, trying to match them with their quarterbacks pretty early on and get them into the fold. Florida State has also offered Charlotte's Omega Blake and Miami, Ohio's Javon Tracy. And there has been reported interest, too, in NC State's Kevin Concepcion and FIU's Eric Rivers. But with this addition, if Florida State is able to land Mario, I think he brings a lot of explosiveness, kind of big play machine for you down the field, something that you could probably try to start picturing and dialing up some things there with Thomas Castellanos and rolling him out. But a ton of eligibility here for Florida State. He can stretch the field, and he can probably provide you some immediate production for FSU. So he can be a long-term contributor, has a ton of time remaining to a young guy, and interested to see how far this goes and if Florida State can beat out some of those SEC teams for him. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button down below. Subscribe too if you want to get notified every time I release one of these videos, and appreciate you for watching.